Hello, hello everyone. Welcome to our first workshop of the semester. Woo! I wish I could hear you all woo out loud. But don't forget you have plenty of reactions. Yes, thank you. Don't forget you have plenty of reactions on here, so you can give us a thumbs up or a clap or whatever to show us that you're excited to learn about some time management and stuff. And we have asked you, and not permanently, we have asked you to stay muted throughout the presentation, and we'll have time at the end to ask any questions. Feel free to ask questions in the chat box as well. We'll be keeping an eye on that. Some of you know me, some of you don't. I'm Allison. I'm one of the SSS Advisors, and this workshop today is hosted by UW's TRIO Student Success Services program. So if you are joining us as a UW student who is not involved, please be sure to check us out on social media. Actually, all of you should check us out on social media. And then be sure to fill out an application on our website, which you can find by searching Student Success Services on uwyo.edu. So today we are here to talk to you about how to be successful in college. A couple of our advisors are here today to share some of our top tips and tricks. We may have some features by students. So let's get started. I could talk about time management and routine for not just hours, I think days. Literally, it's one of my most favorite things to talk about. I think that time management and routine is a very personal topic. It is very different for each person. It can change all the time, right? From semester to semester, or even week by week. It kind of just depends. So I want you to kind of keep in mind today when we're talking about time management, when I guess I'm talking about time management, that you take what you need and leave the rest, okay? It's a very individual thing for each of you to experience and explore and mess with, okay? So we're going to use our handout here, which I hope you've seen before, but we'll be sharing it again afterwards today. Our handout here will kind of help guide you into what we're going to talk about. So first, I'd love to talk about charting your time and using lists and planners and calendars and whatever it is that works for you, right? So one of the first things that I like to do with students when I'm talking about time management is let's figure out what you're already doing, right? What is your natural schedule looking like? What time are you waking up? What time are you going to sleep? How much time in the day are you actually committing to doing work? And how much of that is spent on, you know, Netflix or TikTok for me? First, I kind of like to see, like, what are we already doing? What's working? What's not working, right? So be mindful of that in the first bit of figuring out your routine and time management. The second piece here then is, of course, to use whatever it is that works for you. Lists, planners, calendars, physical calendars, digital calendars, whatever it is. I won't lie to you, I am a person who uses it all. I have my handy to-do list all the time. I have my planner over here. And then, of course, I have a digital calendar as well as a printed calendar. Each one for me has different things. Maybe it does for you as well. You know, in this sense, I like to do almost daily to-do lists or weekly to-do lists, whatever kind of makes sense for you. Kind of just helps me understand, here are my top priorities of the things that I need to get done. The second one, of course, is using your planner, which is huge for you guys as students. You want to set up your planner to, you know, check all of your syllabi is what I'm going to go with. You know, check your syllabus for each class, there we go, and put all of the important deadlines in there, right? In my planner, I like to note what readings I'm supposed to have done by that day, the large assignments that are due, fun things as well, like a fun thing you're doing, maybe I was going to say a concert, but let's be real. I don't know what that looks like anymore. But, you know, use your planner to put the big deadlines and the big projects in there. And then I like to use my calendar to then really go in day by day and set out what I'm going to do, right? This is a little easier for me because, of course, I have a lot of student appointments that make up my day. But maybe for you, it's a really good idea to set out when your classes are meeting or when you're scheduling yourself to work on those classes. Be sure in your calendar to put things like sleeping and eating and exercising and resting and having fun, right? Whatever that is, if that's, you know, going for a walk with friends or playing video games. We want to make sure we're including all of it. And just remember, this is going to work for you in whatever way it does. Maybe you want to run on a day-by-day basis, right? And that's fine. I have a student who really likes to, at the end of her day, look at what she got done that day and then prep for the next day. And that's how it works for her. Maybe for you, it'll work to look at weekly or monthly or even by semester, right? So the second piece here that I like to always talk about is time management and routine feels so good. I know that you're like, that sounds so boring, Allison. I do not want to get stuck in a routine and do the same thing every day. But let me tell you, it is going to save you brain power. Like for real, it will save you brain power. If you wake up today and you already know what you're expected to do and get done, then that's half the work, right? Especially if you're one of those people who's outlining it block by block to make sure you're getting everything done. It takes the thought out of it and makes it super easy to just work through your day. So I am a big fan of routine because it helps me just, you know, stay on track, have the same thing each day. Certain things within your routine, of course, are going to be specific to you that maybe somebody else doesn't do, right? There are a few tips I have here, and some of those things are, you know, get outside. I've heard recently in this virtual life that one of the most important things you can do very first thing in the morning is just go outside. Just walk to your mailbox, walk around the residence halls, walk around your apartment, just go outside. Physically going outside and coming back in to sit down and work tricks your brain into thinking that you went to class, right? One thing too here in this virtual semester, maybe you're all online, maybe you have a mix of in-person and online classes. This is the time, honestly, the best time you truly get to create whatever routine and schedule works for you. For the first time ever, you may not be required to go to that 8 a.m. Sure, you might have to get onto Zoom, but you can determine what works best for you. So this kind of moves into the next piece, right? The most important piece in my mind is to be realistic. We're not gonna, you know, somebody else might tell you this is exactly what your schedule needs to look like and you should have 6 hours of sleep or 8 hours of sleep and do this in this order. That's not gonna work. I can't tell you how your schedule should look or what your routine should look like, how much time you should be putting into work and how much time you should be sleeping, right? That's just not real. So I think that one of the most important things is just to be realistic and take a look at what your natural tendencies are, right? So what time are you feeling more energized throughout the day? What time are you maybe feeling a little sleepier, you know, and be realistic with those time frames. Because if I'm being honest, I could say to you that I am going to do my homework and read for this class from 1 to 2 p.m. when in reality, all I want to do is take a nap, right? And if I am sitting there reading my textbook trying to focus, but I am tired, I'm not actually reading, right? So it's almost a waste of time at that point because you're forcing yourself to try to read or work when you're not able to. And then you're just going to have to read and do that work all over again later, right? So I really want you to be realistic when looking at your time management, right? And this works right into the next piece of being balanced. It's all about balance here. I'm not going to say, hey, you have to study and work on work for 10 hours a day. That's not realistic. That's not a good balance. So when you're looking at your day, I always like to kind of picture 1 week, okay? From Monday through Sunday is just how my brain works. And so I kind of start with, okay, here's what time I'm going to wake up every day. Here's what time I'm going to go to sleep every day. Kind of really bookend those start and end of my day, right? And then I'm going to go in and I'm going to schedule things like eating and exercising, things that I can for sure say I'm going to do at this time. If you're having in-person classes or Zoom meetings, make sure those are the first things that go into your daily schedule, and you can work everything else around that. This is when you want to be mindful of all the things you want to do in a day and really balance them out, right? So make sure you're adding in time for fun and time for rest and relaxation. In this piece, I always like to say the balance is the most important part. And when we're talking about being realistic with time, we want to be mindful of those things, right? So again, if you're at a point where it's just kind of your sleepy time of the day and you're having a hard time focusing, then let's just rest at that point, right? Let's turn on a Netflix show and really just commit to resting and relaxing. So that then when your 1 hour or 1.5 hour time frame, whatever works for you, maybe you're doing a block of 3 hours or 2 separate time frames of an hour to watch your TV shows, you know, really commit to resting and relaxing at that point, so that then when you're in your block of time to work, you're more focused. So all of this kind of ties together to being realistic about your time and balancing it all, you know, between schoolwork, maybe your work, and definitely sleep and fun. So don't forget to schedule those things in. The next piece I have here is procrastination and preparedness. I can't see all of you, but I would love to have like a thumbs up or a wave, a reaction, something to show me who in here is a procrastinator. Who here? I'm not going to lie to you. I think I'm one of the best, in fact. Yes, I am a procrastinator, and I am coming to terms with that. I think here is a perfect example to talk about this, right? Somebody once told me that pressure is my muse, right? And that's kind of how I have started to reframe my procrastination tendencies, right? I am thinking about the paper or the project the whole time, but I'm not feeling motivated to do it until like literally last minute. But I know this about myself, right? So I have started to have this conversation with students as well as myself about what that looks like in preparing and working around your time management and routine, right? So I know that if I have literally a paper due at midnight tonight, no, it's not till this weekend, but let's say that you have a paper due at midnight on Saturday, okay? And you're a procrastinator. And so you kind of know, oh, I'm not going to start that till Friday night, maybe even Saturday. But the most important part of here is to be realistic about that, right? Think about how much time it's going to take you to get that done. I'm not saying I'm not ever going to be the one to be like, you should have started 2 weeks ago. We all know that. I've told myself that a million times. Do you know how many times I've tried to trick myself into telling myself a different deadline so that I would do it earlier? It never works for me. So just know ahead of time when the deadline is, how much time you're going to need to complete the project or paper, and then just plan for that time, right? If it's going to take you 6 hours to write that paper, then block off 6 hours for Saturday afternoon, right? That kind of, you know, book your pressure in there, you know, so that you're prepared for it. Time management and routine really is all about being prepared. That's all it really is. You know, that's why we talk about it so much, is because we want you to be prepared for what's coming up. That's why it's important to use a planner or to-do list, right? Something to help you keep keep ahead, be prepared, stay on track for your classes. Like I said, I could talk about time management and routine forever. So if you ever do want to talk about it more, please feel free to reach out to me. I know all the advisors are really great about having these conversations too, but it's definitely one of my most favorite things to do and to like personally do, but also to work with students in doing. And just remember that this is really all about you. It's not going to work if you're not the one creating it, right? And then just remember that it can change. If you're, let's see, it's week 4. If you have been kind of just floating through a routine in the first 4 weeks, you already have done some of the research into what your routine can look like, right? You know when your classes are meeting, you know what's required of you for each class. Maybe you already have set up your planner to put those deadlines in there. Maybe you're using a calendar or an app to help you stay organized. So you've kind of done some of that work already, right? In understanding who you are and what your routine looks like. Now it's just all about nailing it down and making it work for you, right? So I hope that you'll take a few of these tips and put those into practice in the next couple of weeks. And just know that if it doesn't end up working, let's try something different, right? That's the best part about it, is each week you can try a new routine or add something new to your routine to see if maybe that makes it easier or smoother. Yeah, I guess it's really just all up to you. I'm happy to chat about it more. I know all the other advisors are happy to chat about it. And I hope that you have a good time with your routine. I know I do. I crave a routine. So yeah, let me know if you want to chat about it more. But until then, I'm going to pass it over to Felicia, because no joke, I could just keep talking about it. So there you go, Felicia.
All right, guys, I hope everybody's doing good today. I'm going to talk a little bit about using your connections and resources on campus, which I'm going to be very honest, I was not good about this when I was a student, and I kind of regret it in retrospect. I didn't really get good about talking to professors and looking for things to help me on campus until I was in grad school. And it was a learning process. So to start, I kind of want to talk about, well, how many of you have contacted just any of your professors in some way, shape, or form? Like, do a little thumbs up or something on your video. Beautiful. Excellent. That's more than I expected. Good job, guys. So it's, they're there to help you. That's their job. They're there to help you learn, to teach you, to help educate you. So I know my understanding is, at least what I've seen so far, is a lot of them have open Zoom hours where you can pop in replacement of those typical office hours. Make sure that you're taking advantage of those. Make sure that if you have a question about assignment, don't try to just figure it out on your own. Get clarification. There's never anything you're going to regret more than if you could have asked for clarification on assignment and instead you just kind of tried to guess and you were wrong. So don't be embarrassed. It's not, my issue was always I didn't want to look dumb. You're not going to look dumb. Just ask the question. It's fine. Trust me, it looks way worse when you don't ask and then you're just like, well, I thought that's because that's what I did. And with that, make sure you're developing relationship with like TAs, lab instructors, all those folks can be super helpful. Have any of you guys reached out to anybody like that, like any of the teaching assistants or anything? Okay, those can be super helpful folks, especially like your lab instructors too. So just make sure you're using all of those resources that you have that are connected to your classes. Then, and along with that, connections with your peers. Oh, somebody's got a question, I think. Oh, okay. Allison. All right. So study groups are super helpful for this. I know they have SI through the Step Tutor program and all that. Have any of you guys gotten together with groups of your peers, like in Zoom meetings or anything, to like help study? Yeah, Kaylee, excellent. Paul, Good. That's awesome, guys. Good. Study groups I found especially helpful. I don't know how you guys feel about them, but sometimes just simply the different perspective of a peer in your class can kind of help you gain better understanding of what it is that you're doing. So make sure you're making friends with the people in your class, reaching out for them. Well, you don't have to be friends. I'm not going to tell you you have to be friends with your peers. You don't. But make sure you have a good professional, friendly relationship with them so that you can work with them in a group collaboratively if you need to. And it's going to help too, like, I mean, obviously academically is going to help, but it's going to help you build social skills, which, trust me, as you get older and you get into the job field, you need to know how to work with your team members. And it's going to help your mental health, especially right now. A lot of folks are struggling with not having connections with people, feeling isolated, feeling shut off. So try to connect as well as you can. I see a puppy, Sheila. That's right. We love puppies. It's important with that lack of physical connection to at least get as much interaction as you can with other people right now, even for you introverts, and I'm one of them. I didn't think I'd ever feel a lack of social connection, and the last 2 or 3 weeks, I think it's really been starting to get to me. So, campus resources. So obviously, SSS, we're your first stop, I know. But there's also Step Tutor Center, the Math Lab, the University Counseling Center, which, gosh, I think they're going to be overwhelmed themselves this year, frankly. There's also the Wellspring Clinic on campus, which people know a little bit less about. That is the clinic where people working on their graduate degree in counseling gets to have their first interaction with clients. I always put a pitch in for them because that's what my master's degree is in, and I had to keep my fingers crossed that people would be willing to come let me experiment with them. So if you're open to that, and as another student, I think they have a unique perspective on what you're going through because they're experiencing the same thing with you. So the Wellspring Clinic is a great place. Let's see. What are some resources on campus that you guys have used so far? Throw it up in the chat. Oh, awesome. What club? Yes, Haley, and I always enjoy our visits. Awesome. SI meeting for classes. Perfect. I don't know how many of these are open right now, but there's lots of, I can't think of the word I want right now. Allison or somebody help me out. Like student centers in the union.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
good.
Is that the word? Okay. So,
The multicultural center.
yes.
Right?
Paul brought up the Veterans Center, which is great. There's the multicultural Allison mentioned. The Rainbow Resource Center is a great one for LGBTQA people. There's the non-traditional student union, which I was a part of when I came back. I was old enough to be considered non-trad. There's a lot of, and that's, I mean, those are just the ones I can think of off the top of my head. So lots of resources, lots of places out there that are specifically meant to help you get through your education, have connections with people, learn how to start doing that networking process. Off-campus resources are also important to know about. There's, well, UW has a food bank that you can utilize, which is good to know about, especially last semester. I think with COVID, you know, we had a lot of folks that lost jobs, folks that had parents that lost jobs. It was the first time that I had to think about where food banks were in town, and I'm glad I know where they are now. So there's the one on campus, which I'm not remembering where it is right now. I know you can drop off stuff in the bottom of the Union. Allison?
And we have one now in Night Hall.
Night Hall, okay.
Yep, room 106.
Perfect. Thank you, Sheila and Gwen. There's the stuff in town. There's Interfaith. Check Facebook as trucks turn over. Oh, that's awesome. Good to know. Okay. So lots of good stuff coming up in the chat, guys. Thank you for participating. There's also this local soup kitchen, local counseling services. So there's lots of stuff even in Laramie that can be helpful to everybody who lives here, obviously, and the students. Yes, they do. Thank you, Haley. And then obviously there's academic things that are outside of the college that you can access. So there's all kinds of apps that you can use. I came across one called Evernote. Let's see, what were some of the other ones? Like flashcard apps that you can find. Study Blue was another one that looked really cool. Clothing Cottage is awesome. Thank you. Oh, and Allison and I used to always take UB students there. What was that place called?
New to you.
New to You. Thank you.
Yes.
We got there. Paul remembered. And I actually just dropped off a whole bunch of stuff with New to You. So I really like it. I find cool stuff there all the time. So yeah, and then I think it's Al Purdue or Purdue Al. I can't remember which order it goes in. That website, I'm not sure if any of you have ever taken a gander over in that direction when you're writing a paper. I'm not sure I ever would have written an APA paper correctly if it were not for Al Purdue. Oh, thank you, Hannah. And Hannah put up a whole bunch of really helpful ones. So yeah, use those resources. I can't stress enough how important it is to be aware of what's available to you. And, you know I kind of said this jokingly before, but SSS is really, we're going to be one of you guys' most important resources. Even if we don't know the answers, even if we're not entirely sure when you first ask us about it, we will track down an answer. Even if it takes us, like, it took me like 3 days to find an answer for a student about something with the CARES Act. We will find the answer, we will harass other people, and we will help you, I promise. So don't be afraid to reach out. And we can only help, and any resource on campus that's there to help you, we can only help you if you ask us for the help. So, we don't know you need it if you don't let us know that you need it. So be vocal, don't be afraid to ask. And then I'm always going to put a plug in for reminding people to check their emails at least once a day. I beg of you, please look at the emails. Don't just delete them unread. Okay, I'm going to pass it on to Gwen.
Thanks, Felicia. And Felicia, I'm just checking if in a second I can get a screen share, but not a rush. So I would love to chat with you in this new opportunity for us to discover great academic things about ourselves, is to really maybe identify how we learn best. So I just sent in the chat a website that I'd love for you to go ahead and plug into your phone. And it's the VARC questionnaire. So the first thing that you're going to see is VARC. It's going to be in blue writing. And as you get to the VARC questionnaire, you will scroll down on that first page, and you're taking it to where the green box is, where it says, what is my learning preference? So aim for this green square. When you get there and you click on it, it's going to give you a list of a handful of questions. So if you don't mind, could you take the next few minutes and fill this out. And then as you finish up, if you don't mind just giving me the thumbs up on the full view, just so that I have an idea of who's all set, and we can keep rolling from there.
And Gwen, you can go ahead and try to share your screen. I did set you up as a co-host earlier, so you should be good. But if not, I'll go back in there and fix it.
I only have mute, stop video,
Oh, okay.
chat. I don't have share screen as one of my options.
Okay, hold on. Let me go in here again. Okay, how about now?
Huh, just, it doesn't list it. Let's see.
Okay, I put on there to allow anybody to share screen.
Are we supposed to do this on our phone or on our computer?
You could do it on your phone. It actually will pull up the questionnaire on your phone. If you wanted to, you can also do it on the computer. It works either way.
Okay.
Great
I was
question.
doing it on my phone, but I thought you were saying to do it on.
Oh, no, you can. I tested it on my phone just to make sure, like, oh, do I get the information that I need? Yes, either phone or computer, whatever's your preference.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. So, Felicia,
You want me to just throw it up on there for you?
if you can, you might as well. I just can't see.
I'm not sure why it's not showing up for you.
The only thing I'm wondering is if it's because it's recording, it doesn't let you change out of the screen. So when everyone gets done, we can test it real
Okay.
quick. Or right now, since no one needs the recording of them just doing the survey, do you want to test it?
Yeah, do you want me to stop recording and
Stop
see what happens?
recording and let me see if.
Yeah, there we go.
Yay, look at us.
Learning.
This is our learning curve. Oh, that took me all the way out of not seeing people.
I noticed that some of these questions on this little questionnaire are things I would like. For instance, the second question is asking what I do when the power goes out, and all three of the answers that I could pick from are none of what I would do.
Oh dear. And they do
Yeah.
not give none of the above.
No, they don't. So
Of
I'm gonna pick something, and it's gonna end up probably giving me the wrong outcome at the end of the 11 question test.
yeah.
But I mean, I already know what my learning styles are, you know.
Okay.
But I'm just want to let you know that.
Thank you. There will be no quiz from the SSS Advisors on what your style is, but thank you. Okay, am I feeling like everyone's about done? Finger, yeah. I'll give it cool. Just give me about 30 more seconds and let me see if we can rope everyone in. In the meantime, I'll prep my screen. The interesting thing, Felicia, as I have the whole screen open, I can't see the chat box. So if people have questions, do you mind coming on and sharing the questions verbally?
Yes, if I can. Okay, yes, I see it. Yes, I can do that.
Okay, cool. Well, let me just go ahead and I'm curious, really. Let me actually, I do want to see people's show of hands, maybe, who found that this was surprising to them in terms of, I never would have thought I was in this category. So most of this is like, oh yes, this is how I work. So let's talk a little bit about in these times and what can we do with this kind of strategy and what works best for you. So maximizing that learning style. The first one that you saw was the visual. And here are some ways that a visual learner might find it will work best for them. Something that students love doing is color coding notes, just that way of using a few different colors of markers, pens, to kind of make some things lift from the page. It's funny because I'm sure SSS Advisors can even share with you where we see, that happen with students. I see a lot of elementary education majors really, try to make certain things pop. And I think they're thinking in terms of how will they best be able to relate information to their future students. So color coding, using some highlighting ways to kind of make some things look a little more interesting as you review your notes. Something that I think anyone would be willing to say is part of their experience right now is that each professor has a different lecture style, and some professors might just be shooting up a lot of information on the screen, whereas others could have a more methodical way that they're presenting the information. Again, that visual learner, you might have to revisit how you produce your notes that you can learn from, despite it being a little bit different than the way that the professor approaches the class. But that is just, again, a great review opportunity. I laughed as I was doing some of the research on this, and of course, one of the ways to best, capitalize on being a visual learner is to doodle. And there were probably many a time as a 6th grader where I was told not to doodle. And now I really wish I could go back to some of those teachers and say, but this is how I learn. It probably would have landed me in detention, but it would have been worth it. And then just taking it a step further, going from doodling, but really actually having a structure to the doodles. So taking it further and creating a concept map, I could see this really being helpful in some of the sciences as you're trying to show or compare and contrast different things that you're learning within those classes. So again, few ideas as that visual learner is really just trying to absorb the information. Let's go on to those of you who might be audio learners. I find that audio learners, as I was kind of researching this, of course, one of the main areas, degree programs that would fall into this category, anyone that's in musical performance, I mean, that's what they rely on. But lucky for you, audio learners, is that, you can record lectures. That's how you learn. And we're making it really easy right now because hopefully all of your lectures are being recorded or they're accessible in some way after you've taken the class or sat for the particular lecture. Other ways that an audio learner might really be able to highlight their style is getting an opportunity to talk it out. I can see this really being helpful when you're talking about something like math, where you're really trying to understand the process because the numbers are going to change. And taking it one step further is just the importance of really connecting to a friend or a person that's really well versed to have them share it with you so you can get that different perspective of something that you're going to see again, obviously, most likely in an exam. So using those different styles to help the audio learners of the world. Now we're going to roll into our reading and writing students. Now I laugh because really when you look at the ways in which a verbal reading, writing learner is, it's all about how you record your information. So this certainly could apply to any of these learning styles, but the chance to rewrite notes, really key, because you're really building that in of understanding the words that the instructor wants you to learn or know. And in one of the styles that makes it really easy to read are using bullet points. So those of you who are checklist people here, this plays right into that characteristic as well. And really taking a diagram, I could see this in economics where you have a diagram, but you really need to understand what is being presented in the diagram to write those words out and just give yourself another opportunity to absorb that information. So now we're going into kinesthetic applications. I really find that I think the further we build in education, I think the stronger kinesthetic learners will have, because there's enough research out there that really says, yeah, movement certainly helps to get the message across of how we can learn and how we can hold on to that information. One of the easiest ways, stand up. Here's the lovely thing with those trusty laptops. They might fit really well on a dresser top as you listen to a lecture, or maybe you're re-listening to a lecture. Something else, again, the benefit of the black screen on the Zoom meeting, if you're getting exhausted and you cannot focus, yeah, can you switch it to black? Can you do 12 lunges just to get the blood pumping and movement that will help you? And then small movements even. I had a student that I worked with and for years did not know that the student always had silly putty in their hand, and they just used it to kind of keep their focus and check. The student said of all the classes, there was maybe 2 where the professors even knew that that was something that the student did in her effort to focus. So certainly just finding small motions. And then going into a couple of other kinesthetic ideas, using sticky notes. Again, those highlighters are coming back from the visual learner, where it's again that writing piece, the marking the different parts of the book, especially if it's just a rental book and you don't want to pay for destroying the book, or you certainly don't want to keep it. But using just ways that work for you. If you have an open book exam during the semester, having shortcuts already listed out so it makes it a little bit simpler to move through your exam. Tension and relaxation, just ways to, maybe it's small hand motions, maybe it's shrugging the shoulders or closing the eyes, scrunching the face, just small things that kind of help you refocus after just a few seconds. And again, the beauty right now is you can do these things and you don't have to worry, hopefully, about a roommate wondering why you're scrunching your face in this very awkward look. And then the last of the kinesthetic ideas would be just use your own creativity. I think the beauty of having this new platform of learning is that we're going to find new creative ways that help us take this information and apply it later. So kind of venture out and see what else you can find. So as we look at all of these different ideas, I bet you're going to find that most of us have more than one area that we really rely on when we're learning. So I am very much a visual learner and kinesthetic. And so as I was reading through these things, I was realizing, oh, there's other things I could do to just help myself when I really need to make sure I feel informed about information. But some of these, standalone kinds of things that will help is just really being able to plan ahead. As Felicia was mentioning, there's this element of disconnect right now. And so we might feel like we have more time on our hands than truthfully less. So just finding ways of, this week you might be focusing on one subject a little bit more, but knowing that it will flip for another week when you're preparing for another exam. Always feel free to ask for help. There's plenty of connections that we were just talking about, and they're certainly here to see you succeed. Now that the pause is over, I'm really hopeful that you might be able to explore some places that might be some new locations to study. It could get really dull in a residence hall room or in an apartment, and I hope, to steal from one student who had shared that she loves the Grounds coffee shop, and that's a great space. Or the NZ STEM building is another wonderful building where, you know, maybe you have a certain subject that you go into that location. So and maybe if it's a subject you love and you connect it to the coffee you love, it might be a really bonus activity. I think the key for anyone is just finding ways to reduce some of those distractions. As many good things that come from the Zoom lectures and having them recorded, it also, you know, now we can have multiple devices working at the same time, and I think that is probably problematic for most of us, that we do not do well with many. So just give yourself the grace to build an environment that works for you. And for anyone that shares that they study for 8 hours without moving, I might be the first to say, I don't know how productive or efficient that studying was. So know that you can give yourself a 5-minute break and refresh and refocus and come on back. And then something that you might find these advisors sharing with you is, we want to hear what went well, and we want to hear what maybe was a challenge when you prepared for your classes. And maybe we're kind of keeping notes of that. So what went well in one class, we try to float to another in the hopes that, you know, you have that kind of success in everything that you do. So this little PowerPoint I can certainly forward on if you would like it, for just reference points for things that might help you and your learning style. I'm going to reduce the screen here in just a moment and open it up for questions based on what people learned about themselves, or any suggestions from fellow students who are on this call that might be able to even expand my list of really cool places to study on campus. What do you think? Nothing? Anything?
So when I took it, I realized that I'm actually all for. All of them almost equally to be able to understand information. And that's something that I've noticed about myself as I ask questions. I take multicolored notes. I have to go back and re-listen to it. I have to get other sources to tell me like that's the correct information, or hear it in a slightly different way for me to be able to actually understand it all. So it's very helpful to get ideas on how to perfect all 4 of those learning styles.
Oh, that's awesome. You're well balanced that way. So depending on whatever the professor's focus is, you can adjust.
It's hard,
great.
but yeah.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Hannah, can I put you on the spot? You always have these amazing discoveries that you usually share of, like, what was one of the most surprising places on campus that you've discovered is a decent place to study?
I actually put it in the chat already, but it's there's if you go in the A&S building, there's these window seats, and they put a bunch of pillows on there, and basically just make it super comfortable to sit on the windowsill, basically, and like you can look out over Prexy's pasture. It's a really cool place to study, especially in winter. And if you like to people watch, you can do that on your break from studying too.
To have the ability to just people watch. Yes. Yeah, great ideas. I even find things are changing a little bit, but even some of the space in the Union has these little nooks that has just enough movement that might keep some people on task, but it's a quiet enough space that it doesn't have to be the library. I thought that was a really nice area too.
There's actually at the bottom of the stairs, like right by the like frat and sorority offices, there's 2 couches on either side of the stairs, and it's kind of dark and quiet down there, and I love studying there too. So
Excellent.
just, you'll find your own places, of course, but there's a lot of just like little back spots all over the buildings on campus. So
Excellent. Cool. Well, there we have it, Felicia. Any other questions that we need to try to get back to the chat? Any other questions that we need to respond to? Oh, greenhouse. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite ones so far. I could just see myself just hanging out there.
Yep. Be surrounded by plants. That's awesome. All right.
Any other questions or comments before we close up? Okay. So thanks everybody for coming today. Really appreciate it. We're going to put something together